And welcome to The Verdict. Hello again, I'm Mick Cornett. Kent Myers has the week off. Today on The Verdict, we're going to talk about access to legal services. Our guests are going to be Bob Ravitz and Harland Stonecipher. We're going to talk about access to legal services from an indigent point of view and also those from medium to moderate income. We'll also be talking about legal services provided by the state and an insurance product which pays when you need legal services. It's all coming up today on The Verdict, and we'll be right back.
Every day America uses clean-burning natural gas instead of coal or oil is a day of victory for our environment. That's why Chesapeake chose to explore for natural gas exclusively, and we've never looked back. Because natural gas burns twice as clean as oil or coal, and reducing carbon emissions to combat potential global warming is every bit as urgent as cutting our dependence on energy imports. As America's #1 driller of new gas wells, Chesapeake is moving fast to find untapped reserves of natural gas here at home. It's the right fuel for America's economy and the fuel for a clean air future. We just happen to be early to see it so clearly. Chesapeake, natural gas wins the day.
Our pledge as a company is to provide quality of service for our paying customers.
When you illegally hook up cable,
everyone pays.
Theft of cable can cause outages.
Sometimes poor reception.
We seek out illegal use.
And we prosecute offenders.
If you know someone not paying for service,
call us at 1-800-466-5590.
You could remain anonymous.
Cable theft. It's more serious than you think. It's a crime.
Many of us are careful to filter the water our children drink. But what about the information they're drinking in from the internet? Do you know where your child is going online or who they're talking to? With Cox Communications, there are easy ways to find out and helpful tools for filtering their internet use. I'm proud to partner with Cox Communications to help safeguard our nation's children. To learn more, visit cox.com/takecharge. Our children are our crown jewels. Let's protect them.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett here. Kent Myers has the week off. We're talking this week about access to legal services, and we have a couple of distinguished guests to help us through that process. Our first, on my right, is Harland Stonecipher. Harland is the founder, board chairman, chief executive officer, and president of Prepaid Legal Services. He graduated from East Central University in Ada in 1961 and began a teaching career. 5 years later, he left teaching for the life insurance field. And then in 1972, he formed the Professional Motor Service Club, which was the precursor of Prepaid Legal Services. Prepaid is the only publicly held company in America that exclusively creates, underwrites, and markets prepaid legal services plans. And he was recently named as one of the 100 most powerful people in the insurance industry. Harland, welcome to The Verdict.
Thank you, Mick. Glad to be here.
Bob Ravitz is a frequent guest on The Verdict. He has an undergraduate degree from the University of Colorado and a law degree from Oklahoma City University. He became a public defender for Oklahoma County in 1987. He is an adjunct professor of law at Oklahoma City University and at the University of Oklahoma College of Law. In 1996, he won the Oklahoma Criminal Defense Lawyer Association's Clarence Darrow Award as Oklahoma's Outstanding Criminal Defense Lawyer. He's also a member of the Board of Directors of the Oklahoma Lawyers for Children. Bob, welcome back to The Verdict.
Thanks, Mick. Glad to be here.
Bob, tell us, what's the fundamental underpinning of the whole theory that a person has a right to have counsel, and whom would that apply to?
The Supreme Court, approximately 45 years ago, in a case called Gideon versus Wainwright, said that a individual who is charged with a crime and facing prison time had a right to counsel. Now that has been extended over the years, and basically anytime you're facing any time in jail, you have the right to counsel. Additionally, legislators in Oklahoma and in other states have created certain rights to counsel, such as in a deprived case to represent a child, which my office does, in an adoption case, and in several other areas where the child's interest needs to be protected.
Was this an issue that was discussed by the Founding Fathers? Was it brought up before the 1960s and dismissed as a bad idea or an idea whose time had not come? Why in the 1960s did suddenly this become such a staple of the American judiciary system?
I think the Founding Fathers never actually talked about it. They talked about the right to counsel, but they never talked about it as the right to counsel for a poor person. And historically, many states applied the right to counsel. Oklahoma applied it long before 1963 because they felt that it wasn't fair in a system of justice that somebody could lose their liberty without the benefit of a lawyer.
Okay, now who is available to have free legal counsel if they cannot afford it? Is it anyone in the judiciary system? Is it just a citizen? Is it just an adult?
I think anybody in the legal system, anybody who is facing time in jail, whether it's an illegal immigrant, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult, all people are required to have counsel.
All right, Harland, you founded Prepaid Legal Services quite a while ago now. What was your initial thinking? What in the formative years of Prepaid Legal, what was going through your mind that you could fill a void in American society?
Make it just simply to level the playing field out there, to give everybody access to the legal system. You know, we talk about equal justice under the law, but in truth, it's just as equal as you can pay for it.
Yeah.
And the average American out there can't pay for it. And middle-income American really doesn't fall into that group that Bob is talking about and provides such a good service for. Really, the only people that can afford legal services are people like Warren Buffett. They don't have a problem, or Bill Gates. But most of us as middle-income Americans, we don't know lawyers, we're intimidated by lawyers, and we're concerned about what it's going to cost.
The concept of prepaid legal is basically that a citizen pays so much per month, and for that, they are provided legal services on a basis that's clearly stated in the contract when they get into the deal. Is that fairly stated? And feel free to state it in your own way if I've misstated it.
No, that's very close, Mick. We're talking about covering an entire family for as little as $16 a month and giving them unlimited access to top quality lawyers all across
So if
America.
they need a will, is that covered?
It's absolutely covered.
If
the will's
if
covered.
they're in a car wreck and they get sued and their car insurance doesn't pay for it or whatever, it's things like that?
It definitely covers that. It's defense oriented, but you mentioned the will. Not only just a will, but a power of attorney, the living will, all of those things that you need, and getting documents reviewed. People sign documents every day that they really don't know what they're signing, and they just really don't know a lawyer. It's too expensive. But with a prepaid membership, all of that's available to you. Just pick up the phone. You don't even have to pay for the phone call. It's a 1-800 number.
Is there consumer protection if I feel like I've been frauded by a company? Can I call and get advice? Are there significant points of law that are not covered by prepaid legal if I'm a middle American?
Well, let me talk about consumer. That's really one of the biggest issues and probably one of the most used parts because unfortunately people buy washing machines that won't wash.
Right.
And there's really not much they can do about that because the economics is just not in their favor. In fact, when you look at the economics, the best thing they do is just go buy a new washing machine, buy another one and hope it'll wash. But with a prepaid membership, they don't have to do that. They pick up the phone, call their lawyer. They have a lawyer now to be their advocate. And it's amazing what happens when a lawyer writes a letter and says, you ought to fix the washing machine, you ought to replace the washing machine. And normally it gets done because they're not accustomed to people having a lawyer, not accustomed to having people having the ability to take legal action against them if they don't deliver the proper service.
Bob, let's say I'm before a judge and I tell the judge I cannot afford an attorney. Is that all I have to do to get a free attorney, and I say free attorney, that may not be the right term, but basically to have legal services provided to me, or is there a financial qualifier that I have to prove that I can't afford an attorney?
In Oklahoma, if you make a bond, there is a presumption that you can hire a private lawyer. However, if you're in jail, the presumption flips the other way. There's no set you got to make $600 a month or less, because different types of crimes charge different, lawyers charge different amounts of money for.
I see.
So,
so where I might be able to defend myself against a traffic citation, I may say, but I can't defend myself against this murder charge.
That's correct.
And so I wouldn't need an attorney over the traffic charge, but I will need an attorney provided to me to defend myself for the capital punishment.
Right, like for instance, my office probably only does 40% of the misdemeanor charges, but probably 70% of the felony charges, and probably 85 or 90% of all murder charges.
Is there any data that would suggest what percentage of people that live in, say, Oklahoma County or Tulsa County might qualify for legal services?
There have been some studies done for legal aid and civil matters, and we're probably talking maybe 80,000 people, I think was a study recently done in Tulsa County. So if you looked at the differences in counties, you'd probably say close to 100,000 in Oklahoma County. But understand, that's only for certain areas that there's a right to counsel in, or in areas where legal aid performs those tasks.
Give me an idea of what your staff makeup looks like. How many lawyers, how many investigators, paralegals, secretaries? What are we talking about?
Okay, I've got
this is Oklahoma County you're referring to. Okay.
Oklahoma County, I've got 46 lawyers in my office currently. I've got an additional 10 investigators, one of whom is a psychologist, one of whom is fluent in Spanish. I have about 12 secretaries. I have about 5 or 6 paralegals, a couple legal interns, and probably 15 or 20 law student volunteers.
Bob Ravitz, Harland, Stonecipher, our guest today on The Verdict. We'll be right back with more on access to legal services. You're watching The Verdict, and we'll be right back.
Shining is taking responsibility. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, we know managing your health care can be overwhelming, and it's our job to help you meet the challenge. By guiding, supporting, and showing the way, we encourage you to gain control. Because we believe the best tool we can give you is the confidence to take charge. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Oklahoma, shining through.
That land next door was a mess. Take more than a lawnmower to revive that land. I heard the oil and natural gas people was cleaning up old oil sites, and it wouldn't cost us a plug nickel. Oh yes, sir, it was quite a revival. The whole church showed up, want to make a playground for the kids. It sure is a blessing.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
There's a whole new world online, but it's not always safe for kids. What if someone you meet online sends a message that makes you feel uncomfortable? Tell a parent or teacher right now. It's the safe way for kids, right, gang?
Right. Be safe online.
Thanks to Lauren Nelson and Cox, we're working to keep Oklahoma kids safer online. For your free guide, log on now. And if you feel your child has been placed in danger by someone online, notify law enforcement today.
Hi, this is James Garner.
Hi, this is Reba McEntire.
Hi, this is Johnny Benson. Hi, I'm Barry Switzer.
Hey everybody, this is Vince Gill.
Welcome to my home state of Oklahoma,
where we'll be celebrating 100 years of statehood
in 2007.
Our strength is our people, and the 2,100 Oklahomans from the Cox Communications family are proud to be part of Oklahoma's story. Cox and Oklahoma, true partners.
Happy birthday, Oklahoma.
Welcome back to The Verdict. We're visiting today on access to legal services, and our guests are Bob Ravitz, who's a public defender in Oklahoma County, and Harland Stonecipher, who's the CEO of Prepaid Legal. Harland, what's the average range of income to a subscriber to Prepaid's legal services? Who's your core audience?
Well, the average range right now is probably about 40 to 60,000 a year, but that's going up. We're seeing a lot more people as they become more familiar with the service. We're seeing more wealthy people taking advantage because they can save a lot of money and actually get better service than what they're doing otherwise. And at the same time, we also have some folks down in that lower income. It's surprising how many of those people, when you talk to them, realize the tremendous need they have for access to the legal system. They realize they don't have access. You know, it's been said that under the system we have in America, that it's better to be rich and guilty than it is to be poor and innocent. And that's a pretty sad commentary, but a lot of folks understand that out there.
When you started, did you envision this as an Oklahoma-based, Oklahoma-only law, sir, or did you envision it going nationwide initially?
No, I always envisioned it going nationwide. Once I realized the need, and once I became, had a personal situation that caused me to stop and think about, and then to realize that there was nothing out there. There was just nothing out there for people. I thought that it would go nationwide immediately. Well, it didn't go quite that fast, but it has gone nationwide, and now it's in all of 50 states and 4 provinces of Canada.
Working all 50 states, the provinces in Canada, I would assume there are some state laws, that some hurdles that had to be overcome early, or was it pretty much once you got this done, it was able to go immediately? Or were there some states that required you to discuss it with them more frequently or more specifically?
Well, I wish it had been where we just gone very quickly, but it's really, when you get right down to it was a state-by-state process, because we were the first company in the United States, and I talked to regulators and they didn't know where to put us. They didn't know how to regulate us. So we wound up developing really the regulatory apparatus that's out there today in many of the states that exist. So it's really we're just a state-by-state process.
And how many lawyers are available across the country to Prepaid Legal Services clients?
We have about 7,000 that's available right now, all across the United States and Canada.
And how do you answer the question when someone says, well, is this attorney going to be adequate to meet my needs? What are the qualifications and standards, and how do you make sure that all 7,000 have what's necessary to adequately defend people?
Well, that's one of the great parts about our program. These are top quality lawyers. Most every firm is an AV rated law firm, as Bob knows, is the highest rating that Martindale Hubbell gives to any law firm. And I don't have anything against paralegals or beginning lawyers, but that's not who you're dealing with. You have to have at least 3 years of actual experience to be, as a lawyer, to be able to actually answer the telephone. And we monitor that level of service very good, or very closely, very well. So you're talking to really the top quality lawyers in America, but you're doing it at a very affordable price. And the thing that you have here that you don't normally have under the conventional system is you have immediate access, quick access. You have the ability to get a hold of your lawyer quickly, and in fact, in some situations, even 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you need that.
Bob, how do you ensure that your attorneys have what it takes to adequately defend people?
Well, we have a big training program that I have a training coordinator who trains all the young lawyers. I require, before a young lawyer can try a case, that they sit with an experienced lawyer for 10 felony jury trials. We have weekly staff meetings. We're constantly monitoring young lawyers because we do have a lot of young lawyers. We do have a core of experienced lawyers who could probably make a little bit more money in private practice, but they're committed to doing what they're doing.
What changes do you foresee in the role of public defender in the future? What are the trends that you're noticing?
Well, I think one of the trends is that public defenders are doing more social oriented things with their clients, whether it's the drug courts, the community sentencing, mental health courts, where the lawyers are not just advocating in the courtroom, they're working on helping their clients once the case has been finalized through the justice system. I think that's the biggest change that I see over the next 10 years. Additionally, an increase in representation for deprived children, people who are abused throughout the system. I see more and more needs for that, and I think that's going to change. And then the last area which we kind of wonder about is we got a new immigration law, and it makes it a felony to be an immigrant in Oklahoma. We have the potential, based on my readings, that I'm going to need a lot of lawyers for that and a lot of Spanish-speaking lawyers.
How do you think that's going to play out when that law goes into effect? How will it change what you do daily? How will it change the way that you interact with the county system? Are we going to see an influx of new cases?
Potentially, if the police department follow that law to the T and they arrest anybody who is illegally in the country and the prosecutors decide to prosecute them for felonies, we could see an influx of 5,000 to 10,000, double the number of cases we currently have. To do that, we're going to obviously have to add staff and find Spanish-speaking lawyers, which are very difficult to find.
Harland, what are the trends from the industry as you see it for middle America and then the people that use prepaid legal subscribers? What trends do you see that you're trying to catch on to make sure that you're at the forefront?
Well, I think as people just become aware that they can have top quality lawyers at a very small price or very small cost, we're seeing more and more people that are taking advantage of that. So I think that somewhere down the road, sometime in the future, we're going to see just as many people on a prepaid legal membership as on a prepaid medical membership. And in fact, in the European countries where they've had prepaid legal since the early 1900s, just as many people do own a prepaid legal plan as own a prepaid medical plan over there. So I think the same thing is gradually happening here in the United States. It's just a matter of market awareness.
And where are the hotbeds for prepaid legal? What states do you have the highest level of services offered?
Well, it really follows the population curve. California is our biggest state, largest number of members. Texas would be second, Florida would be third. So it really follows the population curve. There's really not, everybody has legal problems today. We're a very litigious society. We're a very complex society. The legislature just passed a whole bunch of new laws, just like Bob was talking about, and we really don't know how those are really going to impact us just yet. So people are aware that they need to have access to the legal system.
Mm-hmm. What are your main marketing vehicles? How do you find customers?
We do two ways. We do individual marketing, one-on-one, which is a lot of part-time people that work on a part-time basis and talking to their friends or relatives, their neighbors. And then we have a full-time group marketing employee benefit staff that calls on companies and offers prepaid legal services as an employee benefit. And that's one of the real growth areas. More and more companies are beginning to make prepaid legal services available as an employee benefit to their employees because they're realizing now the real value to the employee and to the employer.
Bob, one of the growing concerns in Oklahoma and Tulsa County is how are we going to defend juveniles adequately? Because there seems to be more and more juveniles going through the justice system, and it's not like you have extra attorneys laying around with nothing to do. I mean, you guys are swamped as well. What's your forecast? Is this something that the state is going to have to look at in this growing juvenile population that finds itself before the court?
I think that definitely the state's going to have to look at it. I've added 2 lawyers to my juvenile staff in the last year. I think, though, one of the trends is the number of lawyers, private lawyers, who are willing to represent a child, at least in a deprived case, where pro bono, Lawyers for Children has been a great asset to the public defender's office in assisting in the representation of abused children in our system. I hope we can continue to have the commitment from the private bar, which can alleviate the need for costs through my office.
You also used a term earlier that I'm not sure everyone in our audience recognizes, and that is drug court. What is drug court? Is it a good thing, and how's it working?
Drug court is a diversion for offenders that have drug problems, and that's the cause of why they're committing crimes. Nonviolent offenders are not allowed in the program, and it is an intensive treatment program that takes anywhere between 18 months and 3 years. And it works with the offender, addresses their drug problem and their other criminal problems or whether it's...
So it's not just talking about a penalty, it's talking about a procedure so that the person can deal with their issues and perhaps not make a return visit.
Right, and the neat thing is those who've successfully graduated drug court in Oklahoma County, 76% have not reoffended. And if you send them to prison, the odds are 90% will reoffend. So if we can stop their substance abuse and other problems, by diverting them out of the criminal justice system, it's a wonderful idea.
Well, it's been a fascinating show. Thank you both for coming on. Bob Ravitz is a public defender in Oklahoma County, and Harland Stonecipher, the founder, board chairman, and CEO of Prepaid Legal Services, Oklahoma-owned company down in Ada. We surely appreciate both of your time.
Thank you, Mick.
We've been discussing access to legal services today on The Verdict. I'll be back with a final word right after this.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record. Since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information. Cox Channel, following your favorite teams all season long.
Hi, this is James Garner.
Hi, this is Reba McEntire.
Hi, this is Johnny Bench. Hi, I'm Barry Switzer.
Hey everybody, this is Vince Gill.
Welcome to my home state of Oklahoma,
where we'll be celebrating 100 years of statehood
in 2007.
Our strength is our people, and the 2,100 Oklahomans from the Cox Communications family are proud to be part of Oklahoma's story. Cox and Oklahoma, true partners.
Happy birthday, Oklahoma.
And that's going to do it for this edition of The Verdict. I'll see you next week.
The preceding program was produced by the Production Services Group at Cox Communications, exclusively for the Cox Channel.